Teaching 41. 1. In all times I have spoken to you of the eternal life which exists beyond the material life. I have promised you that all of you will enjoy it. But I have also revealed to you that you must make restitution for the wrongs you have done in order for your spirits to evolve. 2. In order to help you, I have told you, perform good deeds on the earth so that the seed which you sow produces good fruits, and so that I might receive the harvest. I who am the way and the life. 3. I have seen that humanity is stubborn, that it has become materialized. And I have had to give it my teaching in order to make it understand which road it must follow to reach the true life, and give it hope of coming to me. 4. The road to reach perfection is long, and without my divine help you would not be able to arrive. The spiritual life in the beyond is a mystery to man. But study my teaching, practice what its essence teaches you, and when you are ready to enter into the true life, you will not be surprised or disturbed. 5. Humanity had attained very little spiritual evolution during the beginning years. Man had no knowledge about a spirit's destiny after its departure from earth, nor about its existence in the spiritual valley. Consequently, when those spiritual beings entered the spiritual valley, after having departed from earth, they were in a state of deep spiritual sleep and confusion until they gradually began to awaken. But when Christ became man in Jesus to give his teaching to all spirits, once he had fulfilled his mission among humanity, he sent his light to multitudes of spiritual beings who from the beginning of the world awaited his coming to be liberated from their confusion and to be able to rise toward the Creator. 6. Only Christ could illuminate that darkness. Only his voice could awaken those spirits and help them to evolve. When Christ died as a man, his divine spirit created light in the spiritual dwellings and also in the tombs, thus enlightening those spirits who had dwelt in darkness, clinging to their material bodies. Those beings wandered that night throughout the world, becoming visible to human eyes as proof that the Redeemer was life to all beings and the Spirit was immortal. 7. Only Jesus could show them the way to reach the top of the mountain of true life. Whoever believes in him possesses faith in his divine work, practices his doctrine, and will not remain stagnant. 8. Disciples, do not begin to feel yourselves superior to your brothers simply because you hear these revelations which come to illuminate your path. The path that you must travel is so vast that you must understand that you are simply taking your first steps on it. If I reveal to you a few mysteries from the beyond, it is so that you know the path from now on, and prepare yourselves not to stumble or become lost along that path. Be aware that just as there are many roads in this world which can lead man astray, paths also exist in the vast spiritual valley which can lead the spirit to confusion if it has not prayed or been alert. 9. Allow the sap of my love to give you life. Remember that I have told you, I am the vine and you are the branches. You must produce fruit which glorify the tree from which you came. 10. It is necessary that you patiently analyze my word so that tomorrow you know how to explain it to your brothers. Also, this will prepare you to practice it according to the truth which it contains. When will man reach the perfection which my law teaches? When he has fulfilled the first commandment. For until now humanity has loved all the things of the world more than its Creator. Nevertheless, when men elevate their prayer to me, all say they love me, and when they are suffering as a result of their sins, they ask me, Lord, why do you punish us when we love you so much? But soon after, when I have removed the thorn from their path which made them weep, they forget the one who loves them so much. 11. Listen, there were once two men praying in a synagogue. One of them wore luxurious robes and the other was nearly naked. The first was giving thanks to the Creator for all that he possessed, because he believed that he obtained that by his own merits. And he judged that the one who was beside him, poor, naked, and hungry, was in that state because he was reaping the harvest which he had sown with his sin. 12. The poor man felt unworthy of being in the presence of his Lord and asked for forgiveness and strength in order to complete his restitution. 13. The powerful man gave thanks because he judged that if his body was adorned with wealth, his spirit must be even more so. 14. Time passed and death came suddenly to both. The rich man was mourned by his own people. His burial was filled with religious ceremonies, and he had a rich tomb. His spirit left its physical body and on entering the spiritual valley became disturbed because its materialism prevented its elevation. Wherever it stepped, it stumbled, and everything seemed to be in darkness around it. Meanwhile, the poor man, who was a traveler, feeling tired, sat under a tree and giving a sigh left this earth. No one mourned for him. No one was with him in that hour. He did not have a tomb because his body was nourishment for the birds of prey. His spirit also went to the beyond with the faith with which he had lived in the world, faith placed in the future. He entered the valley of spirits without anyone preventing his entrance. He walked toward a light. On coming to it, he felt himself dressed and adorned, and those garments had luminous reflections. That spirit wished to rest from its long journey, but then it saw the Divine Father, who lovingly gave it the reward which it had gained with its deeds of faith and resignation. 15. The one who had been powerful asked itself questions amidst its confusion. For a few moments it would forget who it was. It would weep during some instance, asking where it was, where its body was, and where it had left its treasures. Then it would remember its Lord and say to him, I am the one who presented myself in the temple to show my wealth and my power and to tell you that I was satisfied with what you had given me. Why do you now ignore me and do not call me? Then it heard a voice which said to it, On earth you only worked for glory for your human vanity. You were arrogant. You humiliated the poor and were horrified by the leper. Nothing of what you accumulated in the world could be used to help you in this life. That is the reason why you are now the most needy among the needy. 16. That spirit refused to accept and recognize God's divine justice and was not interested in following the path of restitution with humility. It cursed the Lord, calling him unjust and moving away from him. More and more disturbed by its anger, it met a legion of beings along its path who were bound toward earth to bring harm to humanity. It joined that legion, sowing in its path vanity, materialism, selfishness, and arrogance. But it began to feel disgusted and tired from causing so much harm. It stopped to meditate for an instant. Centuries had passed, and during that time, it had produced many victims because all those whom it had inspired had fallen into the abyss. It felt alone, but in its solitude it heard a voice which spoke to it from the depth of its being. Its conscience at last succeeded in being heard. It judged itself and saw that it was very small compared to all of creation. No longer arrogant, the spirit humbly sought its Lord, and in its prayer spoke to him, asking forgiveness for its faults. And the voice of the Father said to it, I forgive you, but go in search of that hungry man whom you judged in the synagogue. When it was willing to follow that command, it looked up and saw the being who had lived in poverty on earth, but who was now clothed in very white garments, dedicated to serving its Lord and creating light along the path of lost spirits. Then the one who had been arrogant, but who had now repented, said to that brother, Help me fulfill my spiritual restitution. The other, filled with love and compassion, helped it in its purification without feeling repulsed by the impurities which it had in its spirit. 17. Through this parable I explain to you in a simplified manner what you may encounter once you depart from earth. I want you to be aware of the ordeals that one may confront when he enters the spiritual valley unprepared because he has failed to practice deeds of love on earth. 18. I want you to realize that every being who lives a righteous, spiritual, and healthy life, without fanaticism, is setting an example for others to follow. Those examples will emit rays of light that will illuminate the path for his brethren on earth, as well as for those in the spiritual valley. 19. Before Christ, no one had been able to enlighten those spirits that lived in darkness and sin. 20. I was the first to penetrate those worlds where perturbed beings dwelt in order to offer them enlightenment and, thus, teach my disciples to do the same with their brothers. For the shepherd was the only one to open the seals which guarded the great book of life and true wisdom. 21. The voice which you hear is that of the sixth seal. And if it was not heard by all nations, it was because men were not prepared. For they reacted with arrogance when I summoned them. Only the poor, the hungry, and the naked were interested in listening to my words. 22. Today, I say to you, know how to forgive and know how to extend your hand when you are asked for assistance. 23. Follow Elijah's path of humility and patience. I have asked him to purify spirits and present them to me. He has worked untiringly and has brought together this multitude of people who are purifying, sensitive, and prepared to listen to my word. He has brought you to the new Mount Zion in order for you to listen to my voice. And upon hearing my voice you have trembled. Do not doubt, because I am now bringing my teaching through human spokesmen. I have always come to surprise you and test your faith. You have entered a new period and must take one step forward along your path of spiritual evolution. 24. Blessed are those who sacrifice their physical body to perfect their spirits. Blessed are those who carry their cross with humility and patience. When I find you prepared, I will place you before a multitude so that you might guide it. And if you persevere in virtue, arrogance will not enter your hearts. You will not feel as lords but rather as servants, and those multitudes will multiply. But woe unto those who misinterpret my mandates and lead their brothers to the abyss instead of having them ascend the mountain of their spiritual evolution. They will greatly struggle to defend themselves from their enemies, and often their hearts will experience great sorrow in that struggle. But you, in your obedience, be aware that you are conquering the summit where all suffering is rewarded with my blessing. 25. The promised generations will soon come to earth, and they will quickly advance along the path of spiritual evolution. They will interpret my word better than you and will spread it among all people. Those new beings whom I prepare today will communicate with me from spirit to spirit and will give proof of their power among their fellow men. 26. Beloved people, if you prepare yourselves, I will inspire laws and deeds through you which will surprise humanity. Your enlightened minds will discover all that is great and perfect in nature and in your spirits. Then you will have full knowledge of your gifts, and your works will be great in love and charity toward your brothers. 27. Be good laborers in your master's garden. Cut down the bad weeds, care for the plants, and when you see them flourish, be joyful and offer me your work. Be aware that if I give you the mission of offering life to the plants, you should not cause pain or damage to those plants. I am speaking to you of your brothers, of their sensitive hearts, so that you will always watch over them with love as I have taught you. 28. Be aware that it is not impossible to obey my laws. You need only to pray, and to fill yourselves with a firm will, with love for your Father, with charity and love toward your brothers, and I will have my power overflow into you. I do not want you to come to the point of sacrifice. Love, be virtuous, and my joy will be in you. 29. Do not blame me if you separate from my path. I have given you a conscience so that you might guide yourselves with its light. It is the unyielding judge which has always shown you the way of goodness and has warned you so that you might not fall into temptation. I have also surrounded you with beings to help you understand your mission and acquire the virtues of humility and gentleness. 30. Those of you who prepare yourselves with love to hear my teaching do not want to miss hearing even one of my lessons. And in your hearts you ask me to allow you to hear every one of my words in this era. You will remain as heirs of this grace. But you should understand that when I tell you, ask and it will be given to you, you should elevate yourselves in prayer so that you may ask for those things which are important to your spirit. For some only ask for things they need for their earthly lives. But I grant according to my will and not yours. What would become of you if I were to always give to you according to your desires? There have been many times you have asked me persistently for something, believing it is for your good, and have waited for it from evening until the dawn. Although your request was not granted, as time passed by, you became aware that you were wrong and that the Father was right. Nevertheless, those who are stubborn, rebellious, and demanding have been granted what they request so that, as a result of their painful and difficult experiences, they may learn to yield before the truth. But I have granted ordeals to some individuals for their own good. While some learn through love, others learn through pain. 31. I rejoice seeing you come before my teaching, and as you elevate your spirit, I feel your embrace. The Father, yearning to be loved by those who are far from his kingdom, has approached you in order to receive your kiss. And as long as humanity has not attained salvation, some individuals will see me waiting for them day after day and century after century, and others will envision me hanging from the cross because of their lack of love. 32. You are among those, but on hearing my word you have seen that rather than condemn you, I have forgiven you. I have observed that there is bitterness on your lips and have sweetened them with my word. I have seen that you are weary from the ordeals of life and have given you my strength. 33. The one who feels his body covered with pain asks himself if he might not have made bad use of it and questions me with repentance in order to know how to regain his strength, which would allow him to continue struggling. Then I tell him, penetrate into the essence of my word, which is the law, and in its precepts and laws each individual will find the teaching that he needs. 34. Do not depart until you have eaten from all the fruits of this table. And if after that you are not satisfied, you may go in search of other feasts. But if you want to understand my truth, prepare yourselves, and do not doubt my presence simply because you have not received what you have asked of me. Truly I say to you that your treasure is in my secret sanctuary awaiting the moment of your preparation so that your spirit may receive it. 35. Some remain strong on this path. Others weaken at each moment because they listen to the words of their brothers who tempt them to abandon this teaching. 36. The Master tells you, continue to receive my teaching for a few more days, and pay attention to what you hear from me so that you may enlighten your spirit, for you are still blind. I know that you must return to me and that you will be apostles of this doctrine. 37. Whoever has heard me at least once carries a wound of love in his heart which will never close. 38. How many of those who found peace here without becoming aware of it will have to lose it in order to return to me? For they will be convinced that peace cannot be bought with material wealth, since it is a treasure which descends from God. 39. Peace has fled from men, and in order for them to find it, they will have to elevate toward me. Today the powerful have lost their strength. Kings tremble before their rebellious servants. Lords have become slaves. Those who believe themselves free are bound by my justice, and men of science are confused. 40. Be aware that all the treasures and powers of men cannot buy a small amount of peace, and also that the gift of healing has departed from the doctors, who will not be able to buy one single drop of my healing balsam with all of their science as long as their hearts do not eliminate their selfishness. 41. Beloved disciples, do not doubt the grace which I have entrusted to you, Neither fear because of the poverty of your clothing or because of the humble place which you occupy among your brothers. Do not fear because you observe that you are among those who are less important in your place of work. Do not feel humiliated. Be satisfied and consider yourselves worthy. Understand that if materially you are under the mandate of your brothers, your spirits are above them. You could even come to be slaves in the world, but your spirits have been liberated with my light so that they might dwell in the infinite and in the eternal. The Spirit, which truly is my servant, knows peace and true freedom. 42. You will have to fulfill your mission among humanity. I will guide you so that you will enlighten your brothers, and you should not feel incapable of fulfilling your destiny. For no one has been assigned a duty which is impossible to fulfill. It will be sufficient if you pray with purity and are always prepared. 43. Wisdom is attained with prayer. It is the key which opens the divine sanctuary, and it is the language with which your spirit speaks to the Lord. 44. You will be able to perform many miracles and practice much charity along your path when you become prepared, as I have taught you. You will not need books of science, nor philosophies to acquire knowledge or to teach. You need not do more than study and analyze the teachings which I have given to you in all 3 areas. 45. Though you are poor, you will never be outcasts. Struggle, as do all, for the bread of the earth, but do not work more than is proper. Do not sacrifice your body in trying to obtain and treasure material goods. Distribute your time so that you are able to grant a few moments helping your spirit to evolve. 46. If I condemn absolute materialization in man, it does not mean that I advise you to only seek the spiritual. While you are in this world and possess a material body, you will have to harmonize the needs of the body with those of the spirit as much as you are able to do in your life. Give to God what is God's and to the world what is of the world. 47. Clothe your body to protect it against the harsh weather, but also clothe your spirit with light. Seek bread for your material body, and just as you seek bread that is of good taste and healthy to nourish you, also seek true nourishment for your spirit. 48. If the flesh dominates, the spirit suffers. If the spirit dominates, the material body suffers. Truly I say to you that this occurs because there is no harmony between them. This harmony exists when both form one single body and one single will. Do not feel satisfied believing that by praying you have fulfilled your mission. I only ask you for 5 minutes of prayer so that you can dedicate the rest of the time to fulfilling your material responsibilities in life as well as your spiritual responsibilities. Sow the seed of love and charity among your brethren with your good deeds. My word prepares you. If you were weak, I could not send you to help those who have fallen, nor would I send you to comfort the sad if you were sick. 49. Disciples, what do you request for those who place stumbling blocks along your path in order to make you fall? You ask that they be forgiven. I bless those individuals who make you suffer for my cause. 50. Live peacefully in your home. Make it a sanctuary so that when the invisible beings, who wander confused in the spiritual valley, enter into your home, they will discover the enlightenment and peace that they seek. This will help them to elevate spiritually in the spiritual valley. 51. What would become of those beings if they observed only turmoil within your homes? What would become of those needy spiritual beings? 52. Take a torch, light it, and do not allow its light to go out. That light represents the love for your brothers and the faith in the charity of your Father. Then you will feel my peace in your home. To feel my peace, you will need to prepare your heart and cleanse your spirit by repenting and regenerating yourself. This will allow you to comprehend the essence of my word and to feel comfort. I dwell among you and offer you my teaching through this word so that you may feel my presence and give testimony of me. I am giving you one more opportunity to hear my lesson because I want you to obey my mandates and to follow the right path until you reach the promised land. Once you reach that land, you will rest from your pilgrimage and receive a reward offered by your Father. 53. It is necessary that you comprehend my word so that you will not cast it away, similar to an arrogant child rejecting the bread that is offered to him. This word comes to save you and to separate you from your erroneous traditions, from fanaticism, and the confusion into which religions have caused you to fall. If you do not understand my word, or are not willing to hear it and study it, you will be rejecting me and will not come to know the purpose of my manifestation in this third era. The assigned date for this manifestation to end will arrive, and then you will feel an emptiness in your heart. You will realize that you have failed to appreciate the blessing that you were given. Although you will summon me, I will no longer manifest myself through human spokesmen. You will feel great remorse once you realize your mistake, and you will have no peace. Do you want to drink from that better chalice? I will observe you with pain and will await the day of your return. Allow your spirit to be free and come to me. Practice spirituality so that you can progress and evolve along the path of true life. 54. Be virtuous in your deeds, and when you correct your brothers, do not judge them nor condemn them. Do not take the whip to physically punish a fellow human being. 55. In the second era, having entered Jerusalem, Jesus found that the temple, the place dedicated to prayer and worship, had been converted into a market, and the master, filled with passion, cast out those who had disrespected the temple, saying to them, "My Father's house is not a marketplace." Those who were cast out were less guilty for what they did than those who were responsible for guiding men in the law of God. The priests had converted the temple into a place where ambitions and grandeur reigned, and that kingdom was destroyed. 56. Today, I have not taken a whip to punish those who disrespect my law. I have allowed them to feel the consequences of their own faults so that they may realize that my law is inflexible and unchangeable. I have pointed out to man the righteous path that he needs to follow. If he departs from it, he exposes himself to the consequences of having broken my righteous law where my love is manifested. 57. Devotedly guide your children. Teach them to obey the spiritual and the material laws. And if they break them, correct them, for you as parents represent me on earth. Therefore, remember Jesus, who filled with holy anger, gave the merchants of Jerusalem a lesson for all times, defending the divine cause, the unchangeable laws. 58. Humanity asks me for tranquility, even though it possesses the gift of peace which it can attain by fulfilling its duties. But I ask you, do you need to experience war before you can have peace? Behold at how the good seed has been trampled by the bad. Some nations destroy others, and those which are strong today will be destroyed tomorrow. And in these moments, the people of Israel intercede on behalf of humanity and tell me, "Master, I have prayed, but you have not granted my request. Do you know, my people, how much suffering you have alleviated and how much hope your prayer has inspired in those individuals? I am not the one who should declare that peace should exist on earth, but rather man should declare that once his heart is filled with love and humility." 59. How great is the ignorance presented to me by humanity! Neither the wise nor the ignorant have obeyed my laws, and although both have me as a teacher, they have not listened to my lessons. If your faults cause your spiritual death, nourish yourself with my word, which is the bread of eternal life. Be alert, practice my doctrine, and love your brothers. 60. This teaching is like a new day which illumines the path of humanity. You have seen an era disappear into the sunset and a new dawn appear, a time in which men will spiritually awaken and become enlightened. You have seen negative passions unleashed, sin offering bitter and painful fruits, evil invading homes and nations, and injustice dominating man. But I come to detain all of those things. I have not come to judge the world, but to guide it. Do not say that your suffering is caused by me, for it is you that have caused your own pain. I have created you so that you might live, experience, and elevate yourselves through your good deeds. Nevertheless, I love you, and because I love you, I feel your pain. I have come as comforter and teacher to return to you those gifts which you have lost, and to announce to you that the kingdom of peace is descending upon mankind. You need to prepare yourself to enter that kingdom. Humanity will be transformed, and goodness will dwell in the hearts of men. 61. From the beginning of time I have spoken to you in many forms in order for you to understand me, especially those of you who have been my trusted friends, my spokesmen and messengers, who have taken my messages to the other nations. Today, I tell you to patiently continue your mission. Do not hesitate even if your brothers are unable to comprehend and believe your message. While you have believed in my manifestation as the divine spirit during this era, others are still not prepared to receive this news. But do not become disillusioned or reject your brothers for that reason. What you yourselves cannot do, I will do, and I will present my doctrine to the world and fulfill my promise. 62. I have chosen this nation, and it pleases me that my workers will arise from this land to spread my seed. I am preparing you to be teachers, not judges, among your brothers. Do not forget that I have left you among your brothers as servants and not as lords. 63. When this word becomes known and sought by your fellow men, I will tell them, "Come to me, wanderers, for I have that water that will quench your spiritual thirst." I observe you poor spiritually and materially, but I have come to give you much more than you had requested. I offer you a kingdom of peace, just as I did to the first human beings which I sent to earth. This water that I offer you is not from the springs, nor is the peace which I offer you temporary. I offer you eternal peace and grace, as well as divine truth and enlightenment. 64. I bring forgiveness and comfort to all, including those who love me as well as those who feel indifferent towards me. I do not criticize the one who has injured me, but rather bless him, for I know that someday he will love me. 65. You must not yearn for earthly pleasures, for those things which exist today will not exist tomorrow. Seek and prepare yourself for the eternal life, that life from which no one returns, for it is the supreme truth. Come to it through the path of my teaching. Come by fulfilling my mandate, which I have given to you during all periods, which tells you to love one another. 66. Your Father greatly rejoices communicating with his children. After this time, in which I gave you my word through man, you will learn to seek me in the infinite, and your communion will be pure and more constant. It will be the communication of spirit to spirit. 64. I bring forgiveness and comfort to all, including those who love me as well as those who feel indifferent towards me. I do not criticize the one who has injured me, but rather bless him, for I know that someday he will love me. 65. You must not yearn for earthly pleasures, for those things which exist today will not exist tomorrow. Seek and prepare yourself for the eternal life, that life from which no one returns, for it is the supreme truth. Come to it through the path of my teaching. Come by fulfilling my mandate, which I have given to you during all periods, which tells you to love one another. 66. Your Father greatly rejoices communicating with his children. After this time, in which I gave you my word through man, you will learn to seek me in the infinite, and your communion will be pure and more constant. It will be the communication of spirit to spirit.